regards to that story, but I can't quite. I was going to say, it's some interesting context added to, uh, not necessarily, it's not really an alternative view, but it's another viewpoint, some extra context to. I had a guest on, I want to say it's like episode 52 or something on this podcast, Alex Vassar. He's over at the California State Library, and he made an interesting observation about how the focus had changed from teaching civics and how it impacted people, how the relation people had to their government, to just teaching straight up government, being very rote, fact based, not really focusing on what people's role in a proper society is. And so that just, it was just kind of an interesting thing I thought about in context of what you were talking about. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or if that's something you had heard about before, this transition from teaching civics to teaching just straight up government, if that also kind of goes in line with what you were just talking about, or if you have anything in particular you want to add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember that episode. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I actually
Appreciate it.
thought I actually thought that was incredibly profound. I loved that distinction that he made because, yeah, 100%. When you hear, I talk about civic education because that's what, in general, right, we are trying to do in terms of prepare people to be better citizens by teaching them about politics and government. But the classes that we see that are being taught in across the country today are all called like American government or U.S. politics or something along those lines. None of them are called Civics 101 or anything comparable to that, right? We don't use that terminology, civic education, anymore. And I think that there is a very specific reason for that. I think it's important what he's saying in terms of this general transition that we've made from teaching people about the role that they play to teaching them just how the government works and just focusing on that first bucket when we were talking about buckets. So I think that's like a figurative transition that we've made that we can see sort of how the classes are structured and what the effect has been. But then I also think that it sort of falls in line with the history that I laid out because what we see is that it was civic education up until it got killed, right? During that time period after, Sputnik, when we've got liberals and conservatives that are against it. And basically what they did was rebranded it, right? So at that point, now it's not civic education anymore. Now it's just American government or US politics. And we're just teaching you how the system works, like bare minimum, right? What we can do in one semester, which is all that's required in most states in America. And I think that part of that is because there was this effort to sort of distance the government from whitewashing, manipulation, all of the sort of negative epithets that were being thrown at those classes. And so trying to rebrand them as, hey, just the facts, ma'am. We're just going to be teaching people about government and how government works was sort of a way to bring those classes back or to continue them without pissing people off, for lack of a better terminology. But yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I thought that he
I
was great.
yeah, 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 well, that's something that still sticks with me. I've actually mentioned in like a couple of episodes now, and then what you said kind of fell in line with what Alex was talking about in that episode. So I guess that kind of